if you look at Russia, the macro risk indicators relative to the stressed countries in Europe, Russia obviously scores very highly.
The number of banks overall in the country has very nicely shrunk by about half.
Our view on Russia is it's very stable. I mean, and everybody should have noticed that by now.
Why do we have to wait?
We had a huge debate in Russia about what is the speed to open this barrier to trade.
Подчеркиваю, это не требуется, большинство из этих моментов не требуется по российскому законодательству.
The point about it in terms of proof is this, that unlike market manipulation fraud, it is actually much easier to prove.
Russia has a very well-managed central bank which is following a very prudent and conservative monetary policy.
2012 was the best for banking sector in Russia. The bank showed the highest profit, higher than in 2007, 2008, which were the booming years in Russia.
The banking sector, which grows at 35-40%, always generates risk.
Banking is one sector where reforms haven't really happened.
Year where people have been negatively surprised about many parts of the world. Actually, Russia's done a bit better than people thought, so that's making people a little bit more balanced than they sometimes are about Russia, I would say.
We will see more and more innovation to support the ambition of the banks in 5 to 7 years period.
Those banks who are thinking about efficiency and started to implement some measures, they will be more competitive in the future.
I think generally there's a bit of a stereotype of what's happening in the finance sector in Russia.
The Russian banks have to be prepared that increasing volume, increasing number of customers, there's increasing risk. And they have to work on it, they have to develop.
Russian central bank and the Russian regulators clearly have to watch very carefully deposit to lending ratio.
Well, I don't think that the domestic funding is a particular risk factor. In many respects, I think that it adds a certain stability to what your expectation sets would be for the Russian banks.
It's a really interesting question. I think it's losing some of its meaning.
Очень благодарен конференции Адама Смита, которая регулярно проходит в декабре, когда уже практически у всех у нас сверстаны бизнес-планы на следующий год, и есть время и возможность для того, чтобы эти планы еще раз с коллегами как-то обсудить.
London historically maybe has been a good hub for Russian business and Russian bankers.
Sometimes it's easier to meet colleagues outside of Moscow.
The majority of the investment community generally here in London, I think it's the right place to discuss this point.